That brings to a close questions for oral answer for 2012. I call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Government notice of motion number 1.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Government notice of motion number 1 in the name of the Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, so as the parliamentary year draws to an end, can I take this opportunity to offer my best wishes of a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all members. To you, Mr. Speaker, can I wish you the very best for your Christmas. I hear these endless circulating rumours that this may be your last Christmas as Speaker of the House, and if that proves to be the case, then can I not only wish you the very best for your time in other roles, but can I also say to the House that I believe that you will go down in history as one of the greatest speakers that has presided over this parliament in a fair and meaningful way. Mr. Speaker, can I take a moment on behalf of all MPs to thank the parliamentary staff who do so much to help all of us, and that includes, of course, security and the messengers, VCO, IT, the Parliamentary Library, the Clerk's Office, the Select Committee staff, Hansard, and of course all of the EAs that work for MPs and our electoral agents. Mr. Speaker, can I take a moment to acknowledge the Cabinet, and in particular Deputy Prime Minister Bill English, who has done yet again a fantastic job of assisting us through. To the National Party caucus, I wish you all the very best for a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful time back in your electorates. To my office staff, can I thank Wayne Eagleson in particular and Emma Holmes, who look after me so well, the staff in all of the Minister's offices, the people who look after me through the year, of course, the drivers at VIP, Diplomatic Protection in my electoral office, Mel and Janelle, who do such a great job. So, Mr. Speaker, the year ended where it started. The National Party caucus is united, focused and delivering a brighter future. That, Mr. Speaker, is in contrast to the Labour Party caucus, which once again are divided, disillusioned and pondering their future. But in a way, Grant Robinson summed it up best. He's 100% behind David. Aren't they all? The question just is, which David? That's the one we're worried about. And that will be, of course, the question that David Shearer will be pondering as he cuts his turkey on Christmas Day. Does he have the numbers, or is he in more trouble than Skippy in a bushfire? I think that's roughly where he's going, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, David Shearer knows one thing. David Cunliffe is not happy just being the MP for Newland. He is plotting and he is scheming and he is rigging the unions and he's having barbecues all over the show. And unlike David Parker, he can count to 14. He knows the magic number, and there he is. But you must say, Mr. Speaker, as we go off to the parliamentary Christmas sort of drinks tonight with the press gallery, can you imagine what it would have been like at the Labour Party caucus drinks? Goodness knows what happened when they started sending each other Christmas cards. What on earth did David Shearer write to David Cunliffe in his Christmas card? Thanks for all your hard work, DC, and support during the year. Your loyalty means a lot to me. Still, it could have been worse. They could still have Chris Carter back in their caucus. And the truth is, Parakira Horomia thinks he still is in their caucus. Mind you, Parakira Horomia thinks that Helen Clark's leading the party, and most of them wish that she was, including David Shearer. Mr. Speaker, in February, we have a real treat coming up. That is the Labour Party equivalent of X Factor. We know one of them's getting voted off. We just don't know which one. But let's give credit where credit is due. They ended the year with one policy. There was only the one policy. Now, the fact it didn't add up makes sense, fair enough. Their policy was to build 100,000 homes for $300,000 each, mainly in Auckland. Not to worry that David Parker thinks it's 700,000 homes. That's okay. This is the minor possible drawback, and that is the home doesn't come with a section. As long as you're happy with that, or the section doesn't come with a home. There'll be clouds floating above Auckland. Those homeowners voters will walk off the sets and they'll think they're Felix Baumgarten. They'll be falling 60,000 feet to terra firma. There won't be anything there, but there you go. And then there were the Greens, Mr Speaker. Well, the half-whiff of a decent poll, and there was Russell Norman down at Working Style getting a new suit. You'd think he would have been a bit reasonable. He wants to be Minister of Finance, and no wonder, Mr Speaker, no wonder David Shearer thinks it's a good idea, because David Parker can't add up, and that is the basic prerequisite of a Minister of Finance. So, Mr Speaker, it took me a year. It took me a year. I'm prepared to accept it. I finally worked out what green growth is. No, Mr Speaker, it's this. Printing $20 bills. That is green growth under a Labor Greens government. So you can only imagine it, Mr Speaker. You can only imagine it. Russell Norman as Minister of Finance, ringing Bellamy's. I will have a mung bean burger with double alfalfa, add in a bowl of fries and $5 billion and get it to my office by this afternoon. And then, Mr Speaker, there's New Zealand First. They ended the year with a lovely caucus sing-along. It went a bit like that. 8 in the bed, and Winston said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and one fell out. There were 7 in the bed, and Winston said, who's next? And that's the question, who is next? We really don't know. But my advice is don't bring the TAB and don't go to the Wingatui races on Boxing Day. Other than that, you'll be exactly fine. Mr Speaker, I won't start with the Mana Party because, let's be honest, Honi just did what he does best, got arrested in 2012 and that was it. Anyway, Mr Speaker, in the worst of economic times, this national government continues to deliver for the people of New Zealand. And Labor don't want to hear about it. They want to pretend they live in a world where all these things haven't gone on. But let's have a look. The deficit, half what it was last year, on track to surplus by 2014-15. 65,000 more jobs over the last 3 years. And Labor and the Greens went out there, that's right, apparently there's a manufacturing crisis, yet sales by volume up 5.4% for the year to September. Mr Speaker, homeowners across New Zealand paying the lowest interest rates for 50 years. Speaker, real wage growth taking place with New Zealanders, and yes, the real after-tax wage gap between New Zealand and Australia has narrowed under our watch. Mr Speaker, a 90-day probationary period that's allowed lots of New Zealanders to get a job, and now a youth starting out wage that'll do the same. Time limits for large consents on projects so we can start seeing, as we have, the likes of roads of national of significance being rolled out, just as I was at Tiara the other day, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, a new system for processing oil and gas permits so that we can take advantage of those natural resources in an environmentally friendly way that's there. The rollout of ultra-fast broadband has begun across the country for New Zealanders. And, Mr Speaker, yesterday this government comprehensively won its court case for the mixed ownership model, and next year we will see those shares going to the market. Mr Speaker, the negotiations for TPP, a free trade agreement worth $3 billion a year to this country, are well and truly underway, as are the negotiations now for RCEP and many other FTAs, something a Greens Labor government doesn't want a bar of, Mr Speaker. That's what's happening economically. The health system, Mr Speaker, you don't see it on the front page every day. Why? Because Tony Ryle is doing a magnificent job of the health system in New Zealand. These are not times where there are New Zealanders consuming miles and miles of debt and on the back of that making their own balance sheets worse but paying the government of the day extra tax on this. These are tough and difficult times, and yet under those conditions we have extended free doctors' visits to under 6-year-olds right across the country. We've rolled out rheumatic fever prevention programs to 148 schools across the country, helping 28,000 children, and by next year, Mr Speaker, it will be 50,000 children. Elective surgery, Mr Speaker, 35,000 more operations a year taking place under this national government than when we inherited the place in 2008. And Mr Speaker, for that, tragic and terrible disease that so many New Zealanders suffer, cancer. The waiting times for cancer treatment in this country have gone down considerably under a national-led government. There's a lot to be proud of in health, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, you are giving me the message that it's time for me to sit down, so very quickly let me just say the following. Welfare reform, amazing reforms taking place under this government. Crime rate down, hundreds of thousands of homes being insulated, national standards being bedded in, information going to parents. Mr Speaker, can I wish you all the very best for a Merry Christmas to the National Caucus. Have a great time. See you in 2013. Be proud of what you achieved. We ended where we started the year, beating those guys, leading New Zealand to a brighter future.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.